Thank you. So now we'll move on to members and I'll work round. Sure.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I think I'd really just like to start by saying, the actual draft vision we're seeing today, really to congratulate the officers. I think it's absolutely superb document. I think it's probably one of the best ones I've ever seen for a long, long time, actually, so well done on that. I think the other point I really wanted to mention was, I think you're aware that I'm the chairman of the working group for the Innovation Centre and Runway, etc. So I spent quite a lot of time down on the site. That the Innovation Centre together with CMARS, there's a lot of excitement there. But certainly, as you said earlier, that it's the third foot already, but it's just good to see those sort of buildings and the actual sort of enthusiasm that's bringing into the site as well, I think. The other encouraging thing, of course, is that the consultation exercises we're talking about, it's going up to the airfield users, someone towards the later on in this month, CAT meetings, and I guess also I think Councillor Knight mentioned what's the name going to be. Well, obviously that's going to be part of the marketing sort of exercise, and I'm sure that's going to exercise a lot of people's minds actually. But really, I just think that moving forward is a very exciting prospect. It has some very good opportunities for the borough as well. So really looking forward to seeing a bit more in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Evans.
Thank you. Yes, I can repeat what Trevor said. I think it's a really excellent and very, very readable report. The vision to me paints an exciting image of our objectives to develop the site, to provide employment, become a centre of excellence for aviation, marine and related businesses, and to be a positive contributor financially. I think that's a very important element of the objectives here. And also to maintain and potentially enhance the traditional aviation use of the airfield. In terms of the Stumpton bypass, I think, as I understand it, the business plan we put together doesn't assume the availability of the Stumpton bypass. So it's a very positive business plan without that. Clearly, with provision of the Stumpton bypass, provision of the funding to develop the Stumpton bypass, that will make the site and the airfield even more attractive. I feel actually very enthusiastic about these proposals and I fully support the recommendations.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mrs. Lane.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I didn't get my hand up quick enough and I was going to say exactly what Trevor did. I was on a working group with Trevor and Councillor Ford and it was very interesting. We learnt a lot and I would like to thank Andy very much for all his time and effort. Thank you.
Ms. Bell.
I think it's already been said already. It is an excellent vision document and obviously thanks go to Andy and his team. I agree with Councillor Cartwright, it's one of the best consultation documents we've had for a long time. And with regard to the name for this area, everyone keeps saying Daedalus. Daedalus at Fareham? I don't know, but maybe that should be part of the consultation, as we've done with Wellborn and the Columba Leisure Centre. Maybe we should open that up for the residents of Fareham to vote and decide for that.
Okay. Okay. Another question which was raised, which popped back into my mind, I think was about the flights, what sort of flights, scheduled flights, etc. The airfield does now, very good news, have a Civil Aviation Authority licence, which means that it can carry scheduled flights. We also, more recently, have gained border control for the site, so that means the border force can be involved as well. And that's to cover the Isle of Man, Channel Islands and the rest of Europe. So that, I think, too, is good news again, opens up possibilities for the site. So just before we move to the recommendation then, just a few items to bring to your notice in terms of a first sort of scan through as to a few small amendments. 26 Daedalus West with principles, should be principle. Simple one there. In Daedalus West there's an image which is an old version, needs to exclude the land community benefits at Daedalus North, so that image will be replaced. And then page 27, Daedalus North, fourth paragraph, so word missing, should read would be better provided separately. And one other there's a bullet point on page 34. Objective 3, fourth bullet point, conscious business. So there will be a few little errors which can obviously be put right before it goes out. Anyway, the Yes, right. The recommendations are then that we note the vision and strategy, which is attached to Appendix A, and undertake a public consultation exercise, and give authority to the Director of Finance and Resources in following consultation with the portfolio holder of policy and resources to produce any ad hoc promotional arrangements as appropriate. So those recommendations agree. Thank you very much. Certainly, it's a church which gets a great deal of use from this council and from the community in terms of remembrance services, civic services and other matters. But what the council is funding is community use, and it is the council effectively buying community use of a significant building within Fareham Town Centre. And probably a good idea to draw members' attention to the final element of the report, which has, where it says recommend, and the executive gives consideration to making a match funding award up to £40,000, and it is subject to the remainder of the funding being in place, so there's much more to this than simply the council's contribution, and critically, the church entering into a community use agreement, and that is to ensure that the community are actually able to use that building, and receipt of any local authority approvals that might be required, so not preempting those and what they might be. I think on that basis it is a very good investment in the community to make. The council's £40,000 would be enabling a £400,000 project to be built. And we talk about match funding, well, I think that's a pretty good match. 40,000 gets 400,000 on community benefit. And of course, one simple thing that we'll see is that on Remembrance Parade, when we're there, we get to 11 o'clock. We'll have a clock that actually strikes 11 times, rather than a clock that hasn't struck for many years. So I think there will be a very significant advantage there. And in fact, some of you will be aware that the county councils have a devolved budget that they're able to use for community projects as well. And just so you're aware, I made a grant of nearly £1,000 from my county council budget to put a flagpole and Union flag on the top of the tower. So we'll get some time.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to speak in support of this application for matched funding for Holy Trinity Church for its repairs to the clock tower and internal improvements. Whilst I'm aware that the church sits within Fareham East Ward, it abuts my ward of Fareham North by a matter of feet. In fact, the very next shop is in my ward. But I do have a large number of residents in my ward who are stalwarts of the church as they live within the church's own parish boundary. Chairman, just before I go further, I do feel I would like to endorse support for the Reverend Sally Davenport and her high time appeal team. They should be congratulated on their efforts with this project, having raised such a large amount of funds in a relatively short time. I'm convinced the rest of the remainder of the funding will come in quite quickly now. The Church of St Peter and Paul is Fareham's parish church, but Holy Trinity has for many, many years been the civic church for Fareham due to its prominent location within the town centre and of course the war memorial sited at its boundary. This church, as you've already mentioned, Chairman, plays a major role within Fareham and serves a large number of our town's residents, covering all 5 of the town wards. And I feel it is our duty to assist in preserving a prominent town centre historical building. Just a few years ago, this council upgraded this part of West Street, improving the street scene, making it a pleasant entry into our town. Holy Trinity Church is within this area, and whilst it would be good to have a reinstatement of the church spire, serious consideration should be given to having a church clock to be in working order. I know this council is grateful to the church members for their assistance in allowing regular civic services to take place there, most notably, of course, the Remembrance service in November, which you've mentioned, and we sincerely hope we do have that church clock striking 11 for us this coming November. We should also remember that this church assists in other ways, and I'm delighted to hear you emphasise table here this evening, I think everyone is aware that we don't have a community facility dedicated to us within Central Fairham. I think that I have made my feelings known on this subject on many occasions. However, as you can see from the report, this church is a great assistance in providing meeting rooms and kitchen facilities to allow more than 30 groups and organisations to meet in a central location. Chairman, we're not looking at just another request for funding. We should be looking at this application as guardians in helping to keep a listed town centre building in good order for future generations. I trust all members will endorse the recommendations here unanimously. Thank you very much indeed for allowing me to speak this evening.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Ryan. Certainly echo the point about approval to get the steeple reinstated as well, but I guess that's probably a step too far. Right, any members wish to comment on this one? We're happy with the recommendation. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Chairman. I think Councillor Mrs. Bryant has summed up most people's thoughts on this funding application. The only thing I would mention is that the SLA that we will put in place with regard to the funding not only protects the community use of the community area, but also the church, so that anyone wants to come and use the church from whatever faith would have the ability to use it as well. And I think that's important. Many churches throughout the borough are using their buildings for not only their own faith, but for other faiths. And I think if that can be put into the SLA, then it covers the part that we're giving in the true sense of community funding. Thank you, Chairman.
Is the recommendation agreed? And that's to also state within that recommendation form with those 3 points at the end of the report as the subject to, just to make it very clear to what we're agreeing. Okay.